through your skin, unholy and real. So we get off on the thrill. The speed it just run through your veins, like a third-rate ducky on a path straight to hell.
So today, guys, we got an amazing cigar that was actually in the top 25 for the cigar aficionados. Number 7 to be exact. And that is the Blackened M81 Maduro to the core from U.S.A. But there's more to the cigar than just it being a U.S.A. cigar. There's 2 other factors of the cigar that got to the point of how it got created. There's actually 2 other people that are a part of this project that kind of might blow your mind. That being James Hetfield and Rob Dytrek. Why does that name sound familiar for both of them? Well, that's because the James Hetfield individual is the co-founder of the amazing, legendary Metallica. And that is exactly who James Hetfield is. Just extremely iconic. Metallica, when it comes to the realm of heavy metal, I would die on this hill that most likely maybe 50 to potentially 85% of heavy metal bands that exist now, or potentially rock bands, for modern bands, not talking about the one back in the day like Slayer and all that kind of sorts. I'm talking about modern bands that debuted from 2000 and so on, has at least some type of inspiration from Metallica. And that's exactly what the M81 stands for. Means Metallica 81. That is when the band first came to be, in 1981. And obviously Maduro to the core, which is a nod to it being, you know, heavy metal, hardcore music. This is hardcore rock, heavy metal. Then you have the blackened aspect. Why is it Blackened M81? Well, you have the distillery, Blackened, the whiskey. That is who Rob Dytrek is. That is currently the master distiller for the Blackened distillery. There's still a lot more information about the cigar, but let me just get to the point of cutting, enjoying, taste notes, all that kind of stuff, the dissecting of the notes. And then I'll give you guys more information about the background and how the cigar was created. Okay. So I'm gonna actually remove the foot band. So I want you guys to look at the whole cigar once again. Blackened M81 Maduro to the core. Slides right off. No type of damage. Sometimes bands or foot bands would cause crackings or other sorts. This one was a very smooth, basically, release. Very spicy to earthy. That's what I'm getting from the foot. Spicy earth. I'm gonna be using that's definitely spicy. God damn. I'm gonna be using my U.S.A. cutter from Freestyle Live. Love this bad boy because it has a back to it and it's a double guillotine. Very clean, as you can see from the blades. Barely ever used because I want to preserve it for some reason. I want to preserve it, but it's a U.S.A. cigar. Might as well use all U.S.A. stuff. that is usable in my house. Nice cut to the cap. Nothing too deep. You can still see parts of the cap that still remains, but that should not be affected much. Do you see that blackened part? That's the cap. When you cut cigars, please don't cut past that, because after that you sometimes could ruin the cigar. Like I said, deconstruction could happen. What I mean by deconstruction, sometimes parts of the caps hold the wrapper all together. If you cut too much, sometimes the wrapper could just become loose because you're constantly puffing on a cigar. When you puff on a cigar, saliva gets on it, making some things loose. When the wrapper becomes loose, then the whole entire thing comes out, and then instead of smoking the cigar with the wrapper and binder and filler, you're just smoking the binder and filler. It will be a way different experience. Not really enjoyable because you're missing the main big factor of cigars, which is the wrapper, binder, and filler all combined. So don't cut too much. I'm not getting much on the cold draw. Now, I do get berries, like fruit, but that's basically it. Just berry, earth, and slight spice. Not ice spice, slight spice. It's like her cousin, I think. Very woodsy, very spicy. I haven't even retroed yet. I feel the spice already on the back of my throat. So definitely some type of white pepper, earth, cedar, and berry. I also did myself a huge favor. I moved things around my office a little bit. You're gonna see me hold my cigar more often than me, tapping or leaving it on the ashtray, because I changed my fan direction. Before it used to hit behind me, now I'm having to hit basically in front of me. So now, because I noticed in my videos, and a few people commented personally, people who I converse with on the chat I'm a part of, gave me small critiques about how sometimes when I puff a cigar, it gets blurry and can't see my reaction, which is the point. The review is to see my reaction. So now, the smoke goes away immediately. So we're gonna see how this does. We're gonna see if it affects the cigars. Remember, now the stream of air is hitting directly in front of me. I don't feel it at all. I don't even feel it on my fingertips. It's basically, right here. Woo! Spice bomb. Woo! Damn. What that on my chest? All right, let me just give you the characteristics of the cigar first, and then I'll go through the whole history of how the cigar came to be. You have 4 different Vitolas to the cigar. You have a double Corona, or Corona Doble, how they put it on their website. You have Robusto, Toro, and you have the standard Corona. So Corona Doble, or double Corona, Robusto, Toro, and Corona. The one I'm reviewing today is the Toro variation. But let's dissect even more further. What's the size of each Vitola and the MSRP of each Vitola? You have the Corona Doble, or double Corona, at a 7x50 for $10.35. And I repeat, for $10.35. That is the MSRP of the double Corona. The size of it is a 7x50. Then you have this one. You have the Toro. The Toro is a 6x52 at $9.85 for the MSRP. The fact that a cigar that reached number 7 on the top 25 cigars of the year being less than $10. Then you have the Robusto. The Robusto sizes at a 5x50 with a MSRP of $9.45. And lastly, you have the Corona at a 5x43 with a $9.15 MSRP. Wow. I might be having a different experience than others. So I just did a retro, and I'm not sure because of the berries I'm getting, since it is something vegetational, but I'm getting slight coffee notes. Very, very minute. It might be the combination of the berry and the earth that might be teasing my brain into thinking it is coffee. But I like that retro was very smooth, had a little bit of a sting to it because of the pepper, white pepper to be more exact. But it was nice. You had the earth, you had cedar or oak, something woodsy with that berry, something either a dry berry. That might be the reason why I'm thinking about coffee, because coffee beans are dried. And this gives me a dry earth, dry berry, woodsy, just a feeling. That's the atmosphere and aroma I'm getting from this cigar. So yes, I am smoking the Toro, but this is not the one that won. This is not the one that won. This is not the ONE that WON. All right, the one that won. The one that won was the one that was smaller in Vitolas. Ironically, the smallest Vitola. So not only is this line basically around the $10 range, which is the biggest Vitola, standing at $10.35, the one that won the one spot of the top 25 in the 7th place mark was the one that was number 1, which was the Corona, the 5x43. That's the one that won. Hopefully you guys are keeping up with me. I don't know why you guys subscribe to this channel. If I ever do work with Drew Estate, I do want to work with Willie Herrera, because I know I'm hilarious. No. Why am I, what's going on my sub count? Why am I sub count 0? What's going on? I thought I was hilarious. God damn it. I'm gonna get a lawsuit from Drew Estate for bad jokes. Right now, they're gonna send me a letter saying defamation because that joke was so bad that I probably ruined their business. Anyways, let's just do the last dissection of the cigar and then get into the history and then just focus on the review. I already gave you the Vitola, which is a Toro, which was a 6x52. Let's get into the wrapper, the binder, and the filler. And to start off, the wrapper is a Mexican San Andrés, while the binder is a U.S. Connecticut River Valley Broadleaf. Then you have the filler, which is a combination of Nicaragua and something from the U.S., which this one, they call it something a little different, which I was kind of intrigued. They deemed the filler from the U.S. part the Pennsylvania Green River One Sucker. Pennsylvania Green River One Sucker. Metallica's a legend. I heard a lot of good things about the Blackened Distillery and their lines of whiskeys and so on. Hey, if they want to call it the Green River One Sucker, let them be. And they also won number 7 for top 25 cigars of the year. I'll hold my tongue. They could talk their shit. Let them talk their shit. But yeah, that's the components of this cigar. Nicaraguan, Pennsylvania, Connecticut, and Mexican San Andrés. Aromas, taste notes, and everything are still the same. Earthy, cedary, dried berries. So let me get to the history of the cigar very briefly and rapidly. This cigar started off how most cigars typically start like. You have one individual who loves cigars, meeting another individual who loves cigars, another individual who loves cigars. So technically speaking, there was 4 people involved. Unfortunately, one person has passed away. That would be the late master blender for Maker's Mark, Dave Pickerel. James Hetfield always had a passion for cigars and always loved just the atmosphere of just sitting down and having a cigar with somebody else. And that is when he met the other person who was a part of this project. He sat down and spoke with Rob Dytrek. Rob Dytrek is currently the master blender for Blackened Distillery, and they just started conversing with cigars on a regular occasion. They would sit down, enjoy a sip with each other, and just talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. After a while, Dytrek and Hetfield just hanging out with cigars. That is when Dytrek introduced Hetfield to Jonathan Drew. After that, the rest is history. That is when it took them over 2 years to finally decide on a blend, which landed on Blackened. In some alternate universe, it may have had been Maker Mark mixed with James Hetfield and Jonathan Drew. That's going to be in an alternate branch timeline of a cigar. So it may not have been Blackened M81 Maduro to the core. It would have been maybe Maker's Mark to the core M81. But nonetheless, these legendary trios banded together and cultivated the cigar you guys see right now. I think no matter what the taste notes is, even if I don't like it or not, this is going to be an amazing experience. I'm going to call it right now. The experience of this is just a 10 out of 10. This is a very infamous, very popular, very legendary, inspirational to many bands who have been created from 2000 and onwards. I know a lot of people who currently do music in the heavy metal scenes, such as Slackjaw, which is a good friend of mine. He goes by Dallas. He has a band called Slackjaw, which he himself states that he was heavily inspired by Metallica.
Yeah, can you hear it? Can you see it? Can you tell me if you need it? Let this be a statement to those who oppose.
Rick, it's time for you to shut the fuck up. From this point on, review only. I'm still in the first third, still consistent of what I've been tasting before. I'll talk to you guys again once I feel a transition in the taste notes or maybe the strength of the cigar, which I think the strength is a medium plus. Until I find a difference, I'm gonna stay quiet. I'm about halfway. Actually, no, I am halfway or a little bit above halfway into the cigar, and it actually remained kind of consistent. The flavor notes are not that overwhelming. There's not a lot of flavors into the cigar, but it's definitely a pepper bomb. I'm getting both black pepper and white pepper into the cigar, a lot of earthiness, a lot of this dry berry still, and it's still a decent experience when it comes to the actual taste note wise. Even if I do a light retro, it kind of overstimulates your palate, the amount of spice that's in the cigar. And some people love spice. I know a few people who die for spicy cigars. And I also know quite a few people who just don't want a cigar to be spicy. So you have these, well, I would say 3 brackets. One bracket completely enjoys it. The other bracket hates it. Then you have the third bracket, which is neutral to it. For example, people who tend to be big fans of Espinosas, knuckle sandwiches, their Murcielago, and those brands alike. Majority of the Espinosa lines are spice bomb cigars, meaning whenever you retro, or even if you're just casually smoking a typical Espinosa, you will feel a whole bunch of tingling sensation on the basically taste buds on your tongue, on the roof of your mouth, and a little bit in the back of your throat. That's even if you're not retroing the cigar. This cigar itself is a spice bomb. And once you get past the spice, you're met with this very subtle, very nice, rich, dried, earthy undertone with some type of woodsy background and dried fruit or dried berries. One of the two. I'm gonna lean towards dried berries because there's a slight sweetness to it and wood. Okay, I managed to retro a tad bit and not get much of the spice into the whole mix. And yeah, what I'm describing in this taste notes is exactly that. The notes has been consistent the whole way through. As I did transition into the second third, the spice level definitely increased a lot. All right, I'm approaching the ending of the cigar and I'm kind of ready to cast my vote. The cigar is fine. When it comes to taste notes, it's not overbearing. The spice, I love it. I love spicy cigars. The whole aspect of the dry berries mixing with the earth and a slight sweetness to it complements each other. Is this the best cigar in the world? I wouldn't say so. But I could see why people will actually enjoy this cigar. And I may not understand how it got to number 7. I can respect the quality into it. I may have to smoke the Corona because that's the one that placed 7th. Maybe that one is a different experience compared to Toro I'm smoking right now. So maybe I might do myself the favor and in the future video, obviously I'll give it time in between the uploads. I will actually get the Corona size for the M81. But for the Toro one, I feel like it's a little bit too consistent and a little bit too maybe mundane, where it just feels like a casual, just spiced cigar. I don't feel nothing very special to it. The flavor notes are all right. It's not tasteless, but it's just a taste that doesn't wow me or shocks me. So I'm gonna place the cigar with the experience being a 10. Remember, taste notes carry twice when it comes to this channel, when it comes to ratings. I'm gonna give the taste a 5 because the spice level is very well and I enjoy it. You know, it gives you that tingly sensation. It stimulates your palate a lot, and then the aftertaste of that dry berry and so on is very well. But it's not revolutionary. It's not memorable to me. For me, it just feels like a standard cigar. Nothing special. So I'm gonna give the taste a 5. And when it comes to construction, I mean, even with the fact that there's a fan now in front of me, it's not canoeing much. The ash is light white, mostly gray. So I'm gonna give the construction an 8. Because typically I do like cigars when it's pure white. And the draw is kind of tough. The guillotine cut is not that deep. It has a backing to it, so it limits you for the perfect cut. So I gave the cigar a perfect guillotine cut. And yet I kind of have to force a little bit more when it comes to the draw. And the smoke output is not as much. It has a decent amount of smoke output, but I feel like a resistance whenever I do a draw. For construction, I'll give it a 7. The fact that there is a resistance, when there's a strong resistance on cigar, sometimes your cheeks or even your jaw feels strained. And cigar is supposed to be a hobby or even a activity where you just want to relax. And if a cigar is giving you fatigue, and not in the fatigue as in the nicotine content, then that's when it kind of turns into a cigar you may not want to pick up again. That's why I'm going to state this once again. I will try my best to pick up the Corona version of the cigar. That was the one that was rated a 95. The fact that one's more petite, that one's more compact, and a little bit more straight to the point. Maybe that one give me a better experience. maybe the draw will be a little bit less tight and I could actually enjoy the cigar. Maybe there is a little more punch of flavor to the cigar itself. But when it comes to the Toro Vitola of the M81 Blackened, I'll definitely go for a smaller Vitola, not for the Toro. If you do enjoy spicy cigars or things that give you a spice bomb, I highly suggest maybe going towards the Robusto or Corona. I would not suggest the Toro. And definitely, if I'm getting this reaction with the Toro, I can only imagine the double Corona. So with my ending numbers, most likely cigar will be rated around like a 6-7 bracket, meaning it's a barely passable ash. It's not something that's gonna make you go, oh my god. I mean, for the price point, this is the Toro. This is $9.85. You get what you're paying. It's not a budget breaking cigar. It's not gonna give you 3 different complex flavors in every third. It's mostly consistent. Definitely fine to have most likely every day. It's not revolutionary. It's not memorable for me for the Toro Vitola. But if I ever do try the Corona version, I'll give it a second take. If it's available, I'll grab it. If it's not available, I won't cry about it. It's just a standard cigar with a whole bunch of spice to it. That's quite enjoyable. But as always, guys, hope you guys enjoyed today's review and the Blackened M81, the collaboration project of Blackened, Metallica, and U.S.A. Until next time, guys, as always, I love your faces, and I'm out. Peace.